I'm here with Jeremy.
Hi.
Hi. Great start. Jeremy's worked for me for how many years now? Three?
Yeah, 3.5, three. Something like that.
Well, this summer will probably be, because you started in the summer, right, for bio?
Yeah.
So this summer might be the fourth year?
Yeah, it should be the 4th bio season.
Yeah, so Jeremy started out as a tour guide at our bioluminescent location and then also our Rock Springs location, and then wanted to open his own location. So where did you explore before where we're at now? Was this like the only spot that you were thinking of, or was there more?
There was a lot, but what I wanted to do was, I knew everybody loved Rock Springs. So once you do it a million times, you kind of get a feel for
A million.
Yeah, you get a feel for what the people are enjoying.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for something that kind of mimicked that, to where you're paddling up, you're kind of doing the exercise in the beginning, gets the conversation going, and then you get to relax a little as the float back. So, and I also wanted something that you could do basically where you had like a variety of things to kind of adapt to. So say for instance, like as a guide, when you're paddling around and you're looking for stuff, like here you have a lot of different springs that you could see. There's a lot of different wildlife. You have the river that you could talk about. So it's just like a lot of history here that I found like interesting.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird story because I didn't really know that I wanted to like create a spot. I just wanted to mimic something, some type of experience that people had like fun doing.
Yeah.
So just coming out here, I tried out, like I went to Blue Springs, like Volusia County and the St. John's, but it was kind of a shorter run. So I was just looking for something that actually would fit for what we do.
Yeah, so something like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Plus.
Something that you had enough time to paddle, but also like you didn't have to float down and then paddle your way back. Because I definitely wanted to avoid that.
Yeah, we have come to find out that if you do it that way, you don't realize who the good paddlers are until you start until you start going against the current, and that just usually does not end up being quite a great experience for the tour guides, the guests, for everyone involved, right? So yeah, so this, where are we now? Where are we today? Where are we paddling? Where are you bringing me?
So this is the Santa Fe River. So we're near High Springs, Florida. So High Springs is kind of like spring country out here. There's a lot of different springs along this river. In fact, there's over 36 named springs here. There's actually a lot more than 36 though, because this is an example I wanted to show you. So when you paddle over these little spots all around the island and around the river base here, you have these vents. So there's smaller ones, and as the river fluctuates or goes up and down, they're a lot more visible. But it's really cool because the Santa Fe River is unique in the fact that at different times of the year, this place actually runs pretty clear. So when you're in seasons of low rain, most of this is really shallow, and you have so many different springs that are pouring in here that the water clears up a lot. So it's pretty cool, but it also fluctuates dramatically. So the Santa Fe is known for flooding. So 20 to 40 foot of a difference between the levels here, which there's some cypress trees we can look at later, and you can actually see the watermarks on there from some of the recent hurricanes.
20 feet sounds crazy, but 40 feet sounds crazier.
Like when you stand up in this boat, it's clear above your head.
Yeah, that's pretty wild that water can do that. Is that just mostly from rainfall?
So yeah,
Rainy
so
season?
the two contributing factors here are going to be spring water and then rain. And the way I always explain it to guests is it's 75 miles of kind of like a ditch. So the rain has to go somewhere. This is one of the rivers that it ends up. But as fast as it floods, it also goes down quick too. So it's always kind of fluctuating, which makes it pretty unique. Now, right now we're paddling around Rum Island. So there's actually a split, which is really interesting here too. So on your left-hand side, you have Columbia County. And then across from here, you have Gilchrist County. And so there's actually a little island right here that splits the diff in the river, which is unique.
Yeah. Yeah, but so the Santa Fe literally gets cut in half for this island and then connects back after the island.
But the history is probably the funniest part. So in the 20s during Prohibition, you know, like Floridians do, they create unique opportunities. So they started planting sugarcane on the island since there's technically no jurisdiction if you're splitting the counties. And they ran rum off the island. So everybody's always curious about that name, Rum Island. Where'd it get its name? From bootleggers.
That's cool. So it's kind of like, you ever seen the show Yellowstone?
No.
They've got this spot on it called like No Man's Land or something. Oh, they call it the train station. And it's a spot, it's like an actual real spot in the middle of, I don't know, Montana, that no one has jurisdiction over. And so in the show, whenever they have to out someone, they drop them at the train station.
It's pretty much the same thing here.
So
I don't know for a fact, but I wouldn't be coming out here after dark.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
not at all. No. That's funny though. That's cool. So I haven't seen any sugarcane. I'm assuming that's mostly all been removed.
Yes. So the other thing about this is that it floods so much. This island has been, you know, it's been here for forever, but the water has clearly gone up and above it. So I don't think anybody right now, the state of Florida, I believe, owns the actual property. So no one's really allowed on it. And they haven't done any excavation or anything like that. I'm always hoping they'll find one of those old like whiskey jugs or something that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. So random that's how this got its name. But I like it. That's how a lot of these random places were either named by like Indians or just local random things that have happened. Hey guys. How's it going? You guys got the easier way though.
That's smart thinking right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So now this is back on the main channel of the river here, so it kind of opens up.
Yeah. Let me see if I can, there we go. Position that one up a little bit.
So normally what I do with a lot of guests, like we'll kind of slow roll around this river here and we'll paddle up to this next spring, which the springs here have some interesting names. The locals call this next one that we're gonna like paddle by. We're not gonna stop there, but they call it Bathtub Mermaid. The real name is Jonathan. A little boring.
Bathtub or mermaid?
Yeah, just a guy named Jonathan named it, I guess.
I like bathtub.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a unique name.
Just a little area to dip in. It's kind of like the size of a bathtub. The spring vent.
Now I've been out here before, and like, you know, before I actually opened this place up, I came out here for like a solid year and was here. I feel like I was here like every day.
Yeah.
Paddling it, just exploring. But I came out one night and there was all these tea candles just like set up all around it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like a seance.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
Is happening?
I just kept paddling right by it. I didn't stop.
Jonathan just came right out of the ground. That's funny. Hello. Yeah, it's cool. This waterway is like, it's so pretty how it's lined with literally like the tallest cypress trees that you'll ever get this close to. Right along the waterway, there's the cypress knees, the cypress trees, all of those things right along the waterway.
It's cool too, because you can show like, you see on the bases of the tree, you can see how the white lines are on them.
Yep.
Now it's not on all of them, but there's a few that are pretty distinguishable that you can actually tell where that water line was. And you can even look now, you can tell that the water is going down in the river from this wet base on the bottom. You want to loop around from here and go back, or you want to peek it?
Yeah, let's peek it real quick, and then we'll just scoot back down and paddle with the current so we get down to good old Gilchrist.
Oh yeah.
Pretty quickly. That's the good thing about this waterway. Like Jeremy was saying earlier, you can stay against the shoreline and not have to really fight against the current that's out in the middle. I think a lot of people think of like the Santa Fe as like this kind of overwhelming river that just like runs really fast, and it can run really fast, but if you're off to the shoreline, like this is not that hard of a paddle at all to just stay up against the shore.
And the other thing too is like people will forget that the Santa Fe River is 75 miles long, but there's an upper and a lower part. So there's like two kind of separating things. The upper Santa Fe actually has a current that's a lot stronger than this.
Yeah.
So the current here can get strong when the river floods, but again, it's, you know, kind of like physics. The deepest part of the river is always going to be the strongest. So normally, you know, we'll just kind of roll up the side, but every now and then, if you got some speedsters, you just take them right out to the center and let them.
See ya.
It'll help slow them down.
I mean, you could see even just from here, the middle of the river is moving pretty good, but the sides are not. So we're coming up on Bathtub Mermaid Jonathan.
Yeah, the trifecta.
Yeah. We're just gonna
so this was a really cool spring. One of the reasons I love this spring is because when you come to Rum Island, this is on the property here. So you can actually walk back. There's a little hiking trail that's in the back, and you can walk back up to this one. So after your tour, if you're done for the day, you still want to spend some time, you want to swim or hang out, you usually can come back up here, get a pretty good look at the river, which is a lot of fun too.
Sweet. Good old Johnny.
Old Johnny boy.
Good old Johnny Springs. So now we're making a U-turn going back downstream, headed towards, back towards Rum Island, back towards Gilchrist, the main attraction of this paddle. When was the first time you ever saw Gilchrist? Did you come here before you were looking for locations ever, or?
So you know, you kind of Google online and you're looking, there's about 1,000 springs in the state. So there's springs all over the place. But I knew Gilchrist was like a top 10. I've seen a lot of like bloggers comment about it, and I had been here before, swam in it. So I knew that it was really pretty. But some of the things that kept drawing me back here was just the vegetation. Like, you got a lot of really pretty colors in there and different types of plants that you can talk about. So that was fun. It's just a unique paddle. And all of this is like all in this little confined area where, again, it's kind of nice. So if you have multiple boats and stuff, or you're bringing groups out, you're never that far away from the guide. You don't have to worry about any of that.
And so through this whole paddle, we'll pass how many different little springs or spring vents, or like how many do you typically see when you come out on a paddle?
So on a normal paddle, so if we're leaving from Rum Island, you're going to pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the way to Gilchrist, which would be 7. Then when you enter Gilchrist, you're actually going to see 2 more. So it'd be 9. Now, not all of them are big, but 9 different springs all right here. Yeah, like the vent we saw
at the beginning, you're counting that as one of the springs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Florida, like he said, has like 1,000 plus springs, and some of them, they're first magnitude, second magnitude, and so on. And Gilchrist would be a first magnitude, right?
It's actually a second.
Second, okay.
So it puts out about 44 million gallons of fresh water every day.
Holy crap.
So Jonathan that we passed, that's a third magnitude. It's a little smaller, which is, and Rum Island that we passed that you see, that's a little bit bigger one too. It's the second one as well.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, it's cool. So Gilchrist is, I think, the biggest of the springs that you'll see out here, and also the prettiest. But it's just cool. There's so many different size springs. Like, I don't know, the first time I ever learned about springs, I thought they were just like one size and like there wasn't 1,000 of them. But then you realize like there could just be springs underneath the water or along the shoreline.
And that's what happens here too. There's actually a lot more than that, because most of these you don't really see because they are on the base of the actual river. So there's some that if you paddle a little bit further up, there's actually an opportunity to see a few more. So sometimes we'll paddle up to Pickard and Lily Spring, which have some pretty interesting history here too. Naked Ed, I don't know if you guys remember him.
I heard about some naked guy that runs around.
Yeah, I try to stay away from it,
so
to be honest with you.
We try not to go all the way up there.
Believe it or not, like, it's not a good selling point.
Damn, I would have thought that would have been a great selling point.
It seems like it, but people just don't like it.
But there's, I mean, right here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12 turtles just chilling in the sun on the logs. And I mean, we've seen a few already as we've passed them also. There's just so many like turtles, a lot of birds that have been flying overhead. But I think like the biggest animal you'll see out here typically is turtles, right? Like you see them all the time.
In fact, I usually tell people, hey guys, I hope you're ready to see some turtles.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is basically a turtle tour. I literally count in a tour, especially if you come at like noon and 3, when the sun's at the highest, when they're sunbathing, they just line up these logs and trees all around here.
Yeah, so
there's a very large population of them around here. But I'd say you probably at minimum see like 50. That's not an exaggeration either.
Yeah, that's crazy. We got out here early this morning, so it was really cool. We've been out here since like the steam was coming off the water into now, which is like 2 p.m. and the sun is like right overhead. Feels really good. We went swimming already earlier, so just being able to dry off and feel the warm sun is great. But I think most of this paddle is pretty much out in the open air. Maybe a little bit as you get on the run into Gilchrist is kind of secluded, right? But
yeah, but for the most part, you're kind of, you don't have too much of this because it's a wide river, so it's not too shaded, which is actually really nice. So you get a lot of opportunities to kind of stop, cool off, get in the water, which again was one of the things that when I was looking for a spring, I was looking for a place because I had a lot of guests that would say, hey, can we, where's a spot that we can stay afterwards and swim? And so I knew that people were kind of looking for stuff like that.
Yeah,
so when I found this, including me,
yeah,
I was like, where can I swim?
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of times you can only like paddle in, paddle out, and you can't really stay there. But here at Rum Island, what is this called? Rum Island County Park? Is that?
Yes. So this is actually owned by the county. So Columbia County owns this park. And they did renovations here several years ago, which they added all the restrooms up top. You have all the ADA accessible ramps that lead down into the river. These lovely, I don't know, you probably can see them from space right now. I don't know if you guys actually can see.
Probably.
These massive giant cones here, little buoys.
Little buoys, yeah. Huge buoys. Yeah, so we're kind of back towards where we just started this paddle already. And now we're heading downstream with the current, which is really nice to get down to Gilchrist. And Gilchrist was recently changed to a state park, right? Like maybe
That's right.
3
so like
years
five,
ago?
yeah, it was like 5 or 6, something like that. Years ago, they're the last acquisition by the state of Florida, which I believe is about 1,400 acres. And there's about 5 to 6 spring heads that are actually on the property.
So this is all state park?
Yes.
Okay,
So
cool.
on your left-hand side right now, this is the Gilchrist County, and the right is the Columbia County.
Okay, cool. So bring me back before you even started kayaking.
Oh yes.
You know,
let's take it back
from the early days. You know, I've heard you do a thing or two with drum sets.
That's true.
And I've heard you do a thing or two at some hospitals and paramedic stuff.
So I really had, you know, the fact that I'm here is very random to me. I had a much different career path in mind.
Yeah.
You know, I started out years ago. I used to play drums, so I did that for church bands. I actually met my wife here in Florida, but I grew up in Louisiana. So I played drums for years, and you know, eventually music didn't necessarily work out for me, so I had to find some career, right?
We've got that in common.
Yeah, believe it or not, it didn't work out. So what I did was I decided, you know, I'm going to be a doctor.
Yep.
So I went back to school. I actually got into medical school. And that's where we had our son Shepherd, so he is 5 now.
Cool.
Med school didn't quite work out for me either, so it wasn't necessarily in the cards for me. But during that time, I became a paramedic, so I do a lot of like EMS hospital stuff. But then randomly, when I moved back to Florida, I saw an ad, and it changed my life.
Wait, so, were you looking though, or? Like,
I had always looked at like Indeed for random jobs.
Okay, I was gonna say I never like did a paid ad. It just was a job posting, so you had to have been like searching. I just, right?
You know, I've always loved odd jobs where it was like, you know, like, you're just looking for.
What else is there to do around here?
Like I used to put in truck bed liners. Like who do you know that's done that? But it was a great gig.
That's
I
cool.
loved doing it.
That's cool.
And then when I saw the bioluminescence, I was like, oh, I didn't know this was here.
Yeah.
So I really, you know, truth be told, I was like, you know, I want to kind of take my wife to this for an anniversary trip.
Yeah.
But I'm going to check out this place too and see what a kayak tour guide was.
So you came on a tour before you applied?
I didn't go on the tour. I went on the interview tour.
Okay.
So I came out with you guys to kind of scope the place.
I was thinking, damn, did you secretly, that would be pretty smart though, to come out as just a guest, you know, to see, do you even like what the tour guide is doing and what the job is?
Well, see, Justin, that's secretly, smart. I didn't have to pay for it either because I came out with you. I didn't came out with you.
Yeah, so whenever we typically hire people, right, we bring them out on the water and do a tour to see if we like them, to see if they like us, see if it's a good fit. And so that's what he's talking about. He did one of those, we call them training tours. Where he
but it was actually crazy because I remember, you probably, I don't know if you do or not, but I sent you, it's a long time ago. I sent you an email because the only time I'd been kayaking.
I do remember.
Was my mom. We went on this family vacation, like one of the only big family vacations we took. We went to Hawaii. Yeah. And my mom decides, you know what? I'm going to book a 3-hour kayaking excursion on the ocean. Never paddled a day before in her life.
Oh my God.
Or my sister. And I just remember from that day, that tour guide was having the time of his life, just laughing. And then I sent you a letter about that, and I was like, I really wanted to try it out because I thought it looked like a cool job. What was crazy was the first day that I showed up, it was raining, there was no bio. And it was probably worst case scenario for how you could see the tour.
Yeah.
And I knew that.
Which is good for, I think, a tour like that because it shows you, could it still be fun even when it's not the best, you know?
And so I went home that day and thinking, you know, if this was the worst, I need to come back to see what the best was.
Yeah.
Like if this is not that great of an example, what's a good example?
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that I did, because that honestly changed my whole entire life.
That's so crazy. So that would have been the beginning of summer, right?
Yep.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then I started doing the bio tours, and I just knew it was special and it was fun. I loved going out with the people. They were having a great time. A massive polar difference for me as far as like, you know, working in the hospital. Now I'm an ER nurse. So the differences between like perspective, I guess, when you see worst case scenario in life and then you come out here and people are laughing, having a great time.
Yeah, they're both memorable, just in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. Believe it or not, I tell guests all the time, believe it or not, this is just a little bit less stressful. just a little.
So we'll get back to that, but I mean, we have to comment on how crazy this water is here, and
I know.
The vegetation.
So this is my favorite part. So this runs about a 1/4 mile long, so it's not really long, but the nice thing is that they preserved this area. So when the state park bought this, they actually closed this section of the run for pedestrians. So they don't allow anybody to actually walk in the waters anymore. So it's just for canoeing and kayaking.
I think they used to let people tube here also, like all the way down to the mouth of the river, right?
Yeah.
And they could like, essentially it's shallow enough to walk, so people would walk and tube in here, and it would just kill all the vegetation because people are constantly walking on it.
So the efforts by the state has actually been a great thing, because now when you look at the run compared to 5 or 6 years ago, the vegetation is so much more dense. And Naked Spring, which is connected to this spring run as well, they've actually closed the entire run for what they call like recolonization. So they're allowing all that vegetation to just grow back.
So does Naked Ed have anything to do with Naked Spring?
I don't know, but there's a lot of naked going on, Justin.
I'm like, what is going on here?
And that scared me about this area, but I had to embrace it. Okay.
I love that you embraced the naked.
I just had to look away. The first year I came out here, I just keep my head down.
Yeah. So it's just funny that there's, I don't know, 2 springs that are known for something naked.
There's something about it.
But it is really cool, and I think this is like, I don't know, for me, I've been to so many different springs. This is like, in terms of vegetation and like quality and clearness of water, it's very hard to beat what you see here. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen the red plants, the green plants, all of these different underwater vegetations as like healthy and like dense, like you said, in anywhere else in Florida. And so I have a feeling that most state parks that have spring runs will eventually start replicating what's happening here, because it's working. Like, the vegetation is growing, the spring's healthy.
And I think that's the big key takeaway, is that they have evidence now that it is working. Yeah. So that a lot of that, you know, walking through the springs and kind of stomping through is what was actually damaging and killing this vegetation. Which shows that, you know, if you do it responsibly, you know what I mean, when you're paddling through it and everything, you still really get to enjoy it and you get to see it. And that's one of my favorite parts about the tour, is that, again, you just get to see so much stuff, a variety of things on this tour. It really helps with my ADHD. So.
There's so much going on. Where do I look? Yeah, and not only like underneath here, right? Like, we also have all of these amazing plants along the shoreline, like dense woods here.
So you have like spider lilies that are showing up over here. Yeah. There's watercress that's in here, hydrilla. So much. It's a little bit of everything.
More turtles literally everywhere. Yeah, this is like the turtle tour for sure. I don't know if I've been to a location with more turtles.
I'm telling you, man. I see turtles here more than anything else.
And this morning, we actually saw an alligator snapping turtle. Not an alligator. We saw an alligator snapping turtle. And that thing looked like it had been around for 2,000 plus years.
Unfortunately, guys, I had my phone in my bag, and I can't actually show you the evidence.
This is one of those things where you tell everyone about it and you have no proof, so it never really
was happened. This big, I swear.
It never actually happened. So we're, so is this the, this is the spring run to Naked Spring off to our left here. Yeah.
So that's it's a smaller spring too, but it's just really pretty that you can actually get out up ahead and take a peek at it. Take a peeky.
We are almost to the head spring. of Gilchrist Blue. So we're gonna just check it out real quick. There is a good amount of people here, so we're gonna check it out, throw some B-roll over this. Got some cool drone shots earlier, so we'll keep telling you about it though as we check it out here.
So one of the fun things too, so on this tour, is that there is an opportunity to swim. So I know not all the springs you can hop out in. This one, there's a designated swimming area, which we're paddling up into now.
Yep.
So another thing that's cool.
Definitely worth swimming, by the way. You have to swim.
You can't come here all the way and then not get in the water. You got to at least check it out.
It feels a little cold at first, but like it is so worth it once you get in, and you feel really good afterwards.
So most spring people know, but the springs stay a constant temperature, so you always read like 68 to 72.
Yeah.
These stay around 72, so
I don't know. It felt like 68. It felt a little.
You know, 68, 72. I mean, it's close.
It was a little cold when we got in earlier.
I like to call it refreshing.
Yeah, it was a little cold. We'll paddle up to the front and then spin around and head back this way.
But another thing too, so now that you're in the state park, you get to kind of enjoy these amenities too. So you have concessions that are up here, you have restrooms that are up here. So that's another neat feature. So we do pay all the park entry fees for this park and Rum Island. We do.
We do. Yeah, no, thankfully, like the park is really cool here. We want to be able to use it. We want to be able to pay them to use it, right? We want to give back to our Florida state parks. So this is a fun little opportunity for us to show our guests what they have here, show off not only the spring, but also the park, right? And
it helps out, in talking with the rangers, it helps out a lot too with their numbers. So when you have more visitors and stuff like that, you get more funding from the state. So all around just benefits the public here.
Yeah, and hopefully people want to come back and camp here, you know, or hammock here. There's people hammocking up there.
And that's the other thing
Are we paddling over anyone? I think we're good.
No.
I saw someone go under and I was like...
I think he's... I think
all you hear is like a knock on the bottom.
Yeah, excuse me, sir. I'm trying to come up here.
Yeah, so here we are, the official head spring of Gilchrist. How deep is it here, do you know?
I do. So this is roughly about 20 foot down.
Wow.
So this spring in particular puts out about 44 million gallons of fresh water every day. So it is a second magnitude spring. This is a pretty big spring in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, look at all these people that are here to kayak. These people are chilling. They're doing it right. That's
the definition of chilling, I think, actually. That's a whole deck. That's a deck party.
Literally brought a floating dock to the spring. That's impressive. So we're right over the
main spring head. So if you guys saw last year too, there was actually a little partial collapse in here, which happens sometimes, but it was a weird thing that happened. The whole spring turned brown. Then a day afterwards, it cleared the whole thing out. So it just shows you how much force is coming out of here to actually completely recycle the water within this spring within a day.
Yeah.
Another thing is just the colors, man.
Dude, the colors here are like the blue of when it gets deep right there over the spring. You can't really beat the colors here between the water, the foliage, the vegetation that's under the water. Like you can't beat the colors that are here. It's so crazy.
Wasn't there like an old 80s thing, the colors of the rainbow or something like that? Or was that Reading Rainbow?
Yeah, that was Reading Rainbow.
Yeah. I don't think that had much to do with what we're talking about. But while we're on the subject, what a great show that was.
Yeah. It was a good show, and everyone probably knows what it is because we're all forced to watch it.
So talking about colors though, one thing that I do like about this area of Florida, Gainesville, so we're a little bit more north than your central Florida, so a little North Florida here. You do get a little bit more foliage. So in the wintertime and in the fall, you get those reds that are popping in these trees. So it's kind of like seasonal, but it's like a different opportunity to see it in different shades. Also, when in the wintertime when there's nobody in here, the clarity in here is unreal.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen some of the footage from the main head spring. I mean, you get mermaids in here. Not real ones. Just clarify here.
It's a long swim from the ocean.
I don't know, they might be real.
It is a long swim from the ocean.
They do look real. Let's put it that way.
So mermaids have been seen here. But yeah, in the wintertime, obviously you get less traffic out here. Summertime, everyone wants to come to the springs. But even during the summertime, like there's times of day where it can vary as well. Obviously, like the middle part of the day, like right now, there's a lot of people in the spring, but we were out here this morning at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and there was literally no one in the spring. So
I do tell people that a lot too. So it's like if you want to visit a spring and you're trying to get away from the crowds, A, this is a great spot for that. But B, come early.
It's like a little hack. Like pretty much every spring in Florida is like that too. Like you're good if you come super early. You'll avoid most of the crowds.
Yeah.
And sometimes like at the end of the day too, like as the crowds leave, you know, everyone gets here at 10 or 11, and as they leave at like 2 or 3, it could slow down quite a bit, you know, 4 o'clock and on. So
yeah, you just can't get here at noon on July 4th on a Saturday and think you might be the only one.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to have that idea.
This water right here is just nuts. Like it doesn't even look like it's as deep as it actually is because it's so clear. Yeah, I love this little spring run here. It's probably like the coolest, I don't know, spring run that I've been to in a long, long time.
One of my favorite things to do is like out of here, you know, like I was talking about Rock Springs earlier, everybody loves the float, is just drifting through here.
Yeah, we're chilling. Current from the spring is just pushing us forward. Again, we've got 800 million turtles here.
And it's a kind of another time that you get to kind of just enjoy looking around. So it's like sometimes paddling up, you may not be paying attention as much, but on the float back, you're just kind of observing.
Yeah.
Which is one thing that I love about our tours and like doing the guided stuff is that in the years that I've been doing this, you notice that like, you know, maybe not everybody knows about some of this stuff, and sometimes it seems like they definitely would like to.
Yeah.
They just don't know anybody who knows it.
Yeah.
So they need somebody to tell them.
Yeah, how was that process like trying to figure out all of the information about this area? I know that's...
So that is like where,
interesting,
you know, where the research has to come in. That's where you get the books out.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, I grew up in Louisiana, outdoors, but I'm not a plant expert.
Yeah.
I knew a lot more about medicine than I did about plants. You know, I knew your classic birds, your cardinal.
Yeah.
You got your woodpeckers.
Typical fish, typical birds, yeah.
But, you know, you got a great opportunity when you have a lot of guests that are coming out. I feel like I've always learned stuff from people because you have people from all walks of life. I've had biologists come out. I've had, you know, experts on different subjects that have taught me stuff. But mainly it was just me researching. Was like, hey, finding out, oh, what is this plant? This looks unique, or I've never seen this before, and going to try to find out more about it. Writing down little facts, asking other guides. That's probably one of my favorite things to do, is go out with other tour guides. And just listen.
Learn.
Because you just learn so much. People talk about different things and they have different interests. And it's always a lot of fun.
Yep. So I don't know if we officially said it, but Jeremy owns our Gilchrist Blue.
Oh yeah, by the way.
So he owns this location, and we're coming up on a year, right? Like
actually,
I think it like could be
one day tomorrow.
Really? Tomorrow?
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
crap.
The 15th will be open for 1 year.
So it's been a year already. Holy
Which
crap.
is crazy.
Yeah, that is
because
crazy.
all along the process, you never really know. And I don't want to say I'm like looking for the, like, where's going to be the answer no. You know what I mean? But it's like everything kept checking out. It kept working out. And it just seemed like, you know, for me, I was like, this needs to be a tour. Yeah. Like, this would be an amazing thing to show people. So now having the opportunity to just see some of the reviews that come in of people just, you know, having a great time or the experience they're having here, to me, that's like icing on the cake. I mean, I don't think there's anything better than taking somebody out and being like, hey guys, check this out. What do you think? And then going, this was amazing. We had a great time. And you're like, I know, right? Exactly.
I still, once in a while, search my name on our old reviews and remember exact like guests and who they were and the tours and stuff, so.
I feel like that,
cool.
That I was reading a couple the other night. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like, that is kind of cool to
you're
do.
Like, oh yeah, I remember that guest. Like they're from here. Like you just remember one little thing.
They're like, Jimmy was so great.
Instead of Jeremy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that Jonathan guy he is memorable.
So, some guy named Naked Ed was great.
Yeah. Jeremy really showcased him well. Like, no.
That's so funny.
So now we're crossing back into the Santa Fe River.
Yep, so that was the spring run at Gilchrist and the head spring at Gilchrist. But literally, like, I don't know, it's just so pretty from above too. We flew the drone, like just seeing it from above is so awesome. And the colors of the run, it doesn't even look like there's water on top of the run with how clear it is and how much vegetation is underneath it. So yeah, you guys will see that on the footage, I'm sure, but yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That's why I feel like it's rare to see so many different colors like in the water, and then just on top of that, like the aqua blue for the, that's like, again, another one of those icing on the cakes when you get down there and you swim and you put the goggles on. So that was another thing that I started doing out here was, you know, because we were swimming so much, I was like, you got to see it. It's not, you know, believe it or not, it's a little blurry if you just do it with your eyes. So they do make goggles, and that has helped out tremendously.
Yeah.
So just another fun thing to do.
So is owning a business everything you thought it would be? Are you still waiting for that moment? Are you?
And so much more. So much.
But you know, it's.
I'm just to be honest with you, man. Like I told you, I never really thought that I would be in this position, and so I'm just grateful for the opportunity. You know, every day I'm learning something new or different. But
yeah, and you always have to like try different things. You don't know what you don't know, which is what I've learned a lot in business. Like, you don't know it until someone teaches you, you know? And you have to try different things to see what works in your area, what works for your business, what works, you know, from Google ads, like, right? Like, we're still figuring that out. And just trial and error. Like, a lot of it is trial and error until you figure out what works, and then you start making the strides. And I think, like, in the position you're in, year one is, and it's typical for, I think, most franchise businesses in general, like year one is really a learning year and a figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And then year two, you get to kind of focus on growth a little bit more and expanding on the things that do work and cutting away the things that don't work.
I feel like that's exactly kind of like what happened too, because it's like, you know, you get into like a rhythm. So like I felt like for the first, even when I started at like Rock Springs, you know, that first 6 months to a year of guiding tours was trial and error.
Yeah, you start figuring out what do guests like, what do they not like, where are the good stopping points, what's a good, you know, like just the routine of it all.
But as you keep going and, you know, you do different style tours and you meet different people, you ask a lot of questions. So that's all I was doing. I would just ask questions. What are people in general wanting to experience? What are they enjoying? What are they not enjoying? How can I duplicate all that stuff here? And then in the first year of paddling this, you know, how can I make sure everyone is safe, that they're enjoying it? Yeah. You know, what part of the experience do I want to focus more on or take, like you said, take away?
Yep.
So, and then just getting in the rhythm again. So I feel like it takes a little bit of time to do that. And you need tours to do that. Yep. So in order to get the rhythm, you kind of got to paddle a lot, which is not a bad thing to do. So it turns out it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. And it's healthy. It's good for you. A good place to be. How can you not be a little happier out here than sitting in an office, you know?
You know, there came a time when I really kind of had to decide with like Get Up and Go Kayaking, like whether I was going to step more fully into this. And I can remember those nights at Bio and like
at 4 a.m.
Well, I mean, the thing was, is like I would come home and I'd be tired, but it wasn't the same type of tired like when I'd come home from the ER.
I haven't been able to explain that to people, that like, even though I was grinding my ass off when I started this whole thing at Bio, giving the tours, whatever, I wasn't really that tired. Like I was just tired in the sense of it's been a long day, but like I was like kind of happy at the end of the day, and it took away from the tiredness feeling, you know?
And I had to I went through that process with myself for a couple of months where I literally was just thinking, I'm like, man, like I'm leaving the ER and like I just
drained.
I'm just drained. Yeah. And you know, I'm coming out here and then I'm feeling like I'm kind of getting rejuvenated, like.
Yeah.
And so as I really stepped more fully in and, you know, started guiding a lot more tours and, you know, kind of spent the time to do this and put this place together, again, it's just been one of those parts of my life that I'm super grateful for the opportunity. So I just look at it like that, like how many people get to come out here and just, you know, for their job, show people these exotic locations that everyone dreams about or envisions, you know, being at. You know, that this is where they want to go for their vacations, and here I am every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're like, you're so lucky that this is what you get to do, you know, and it makes you feel special.
And when they say that, I tell them exactly, I'm like, you are absolutely right.
You are not wrong.
They're like, this seems like a dream job. I'm like, it is.
Yeah, it is. That's so cool, man. Yeah, it's one of my most rewarding things ever, and it's the same with, like, you know, my mom becoming a franchisee, my brother becoming a franchisee, Tia, her dad, is when a tour guide goes from like tour guide to wanting to do more, so like manager for you, to wanting to do more, so franchisor, you know, franchising for you. So like for me, it's great because I know I invested time and money and effort into the start of you coming on board, and the hope is that we can build something that like wants you to keep going along in the process and become that. And so, you know, as grateful as you are, I'm probably X times more grateful that you randomly were browsing Indeed and came across the job.
Yeah, thank Google.
Dude, isn't it crazy though that's kind of how life works? Like, you literally don't know what could happen today that will change the trajectory of the rest of your life.
And
it's crazy.
That's why I'm open to the experience. You know, I've kind of just embraced it. And at this point in my life, you know, I've been kind of all over. I thought I was going to be different things, and here I am paddling. But, you know, I've never been happier in my life. So it's just one of those things that's like, you kind of just have to, hey.
Hello.
Can't hear that at all.
Found it. I love it.
But yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for putting together this beautiful location. I remember the times Jeremy was like, I think this is the spot. This is here, this is here, this is here. You can do this. There's bathrooms, there's this, there's that. And
I just needed the confirmation from another guide. I was like, I'm like 99% sure, but can you go do this and tell me, am I wrong?
Yeah, no. And so I remember the first time I was here, I was like, wow, this is actually really special. And then this is my second time here. It just like further confirms that it is. And you know, it takes a little bit of time to grow and build it, but you're doing the right things. It's going to happen. You're getting the great reviews. You're getting the good word of mouth. You're building your brand in a location that we don't have many other close by spots here. And so it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but you're doing all the right things. So, man, I love this location. I can't wait to come back. I hope I can bring Tia here one day and like spend, you know, a day or two like just exploring all the springs that are in this area, because it's crazy. It's just so cool. And like, now that we're done with the tour, we can literally get out of the kayak and go and swim in Rum Island Springs. So,
that's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like,
especially if you're a guide here, it's like there'll be a lot of times where it's like end of the day, you're washing the boats, you're putting them away right before I go home. I'm literally the only one here, and I'm just swimming in this Rum Island Blue Spring by myself. Just having the time of my life.
With the big orange buoys now.
Yeah,
thanks. The big orange buoys.
Yeah, that was a great addition.
All right, well, cool. Thanks, man. We are back, so we are going to offload and enjoy the rest of our day. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with Jeremy for a little bit.
Thanks for coming out.
I appreciate it. Come check out Gilchrist Blue if you guys are ever in the North Florida, Gainesville area. You'll love it, I promise.
We'll be here.
Bye.